my channel. Hey yo, listen up, yeah. Hey yo, the wireless woman.
You in charge of the girls, right?
I am in charge of the girls.
Are you in charge of the girls?
I am in charge of the girls.
Okay.
All right. Hey yo, Wi-Fi's. Welcome back to yet another underground transmission of the wireless woman. Go ahead and do me a favor on your way in and like this video. Why? Because when you like it, well, I love it. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click the bell for notifications of when I go live and when I upload new content. Today, we are here to talk about allyship. There have been lots of other vulnerable, marginalized communities that have come out in support and encouragement of women and womanhood, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch. Generally, in order to be an ally of a certain community, you don't belong to that same community. It's to be coming from outside of that community, but lending support, encouragement from your community. Now, I love to see it. Women have been some of the largest allies for vulnerable populations of people like children, like the LGBTQIA plus community. And so to see people coming out of portals like the Avengers Endgame to support women, I truly am grateful to see it. It makes me feel as though I belong to a fellowship of man that allows us all to gather strength and liberation from the women's movement. The women's liberation movement has now been draped underneath the cloak of feminism and blamed for a whole host of sociological phenomenon in a society that's truly just in open revolution. If we didn't have so much patriarchy and hierarchies of oppression built into the way this society was set up in the first place, we wouldn't have so many groups of people simultaneously fighting for rights. The women's liberation movement was all about women being able to participate in society with equal footing as the dominant male patriarchal structure that was set in place to keep them out of an equal participation. It was meant to bring that system in balance. So now that we're finding that footing, we're finding that balance, there are large pushes for things to go back to the way they were before. And one of the things that I'm consistently hearing from Red Pill Manospheric content is that things were better in the past. But the question you got to ask yourself is better for whom? Because some of the same people that are looking for the days of yore to come in and redeem us from modern times are the same exact people who were oppressed under those systems. It's really strange, but I wanted to speak today specifically on a certain type of ally that I'm watching seep into these communities of womanhood. First of all, in order to be an ally, it is to get behind the community that you hope to support and push them forward. It's not to stand in front and lead them into their own liberation because you're outside of that population. You don't understand, nor are you oppressed by the same things that they are hoping to alleviate. So it's difficult to fight for someone's rights that aren't yours. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't need your support. That doesn't mean that your participation doesn't lend its strength. It just means that you have to get at the back of that line, because more often than not, people who are coming from outside of that community to ally, especially men, especially people who are a part of the dominant power structure that created the need for the liberation from oppression in the first place, they can't continue to lead you into the people who created the system aren't going to be the same people who lead you into your freedom. You'll hear it said in other ways, like you're not going to heal in the same environment that hurt you. The same rings true in this situation. Allies are people that get at the back of that line saying, okay, there's room enough here for everyone. And because our cup is full now, we can take said cup and share and divide it with those who don't have, at times, anything in their cup or as much as me. That's what the balance is about. It's about the sharing, the dividing, the equity of power. It's not about wielding the power that you have to make inroads for those people. It's about enabling those people to make inroads for themselves, which means being at the back of the bus, being at the back of the line. And this is something that's hard for people who don't want to see a shift in power to understand. It's like Rosa Parks sitting at the front of the bus when she should be at the back. Somebody got to be at the back of the bus. Listen, somebody got to be at the back of the bus. And the fact that someone has to be at the back of the bus was the reason why the rule was enacted in the first place, which was, hey, if there isn't any room on this bus, Black people go to the back of the bus. So here's the thing, if there isn't any room in the room for women, that means men get up and go to the back so that they can make space and room for women. Now, in a free and fair society that is not plagued with patriarchy, we would all be able to sit wherever we want to. But if women are walking into rooms where the first 4 rows are occupied by men, someone has to get up for them to take their place. But my issue is that so often people are looking for allies to come in and validate the plight that they're in. And if these people saw you as people in the first place, you wouldn't need them as allies because you would not be underneath their oppression. Women are going to have to stop relying on the validation of men in order to feel as though, one, your plight is legitimate. This is the first part of getting this whole situation fixed, is that whether men get it or not, feminism, women's liberation, womanism is in their blind spot. It just is. And whether they get it or not, your liberation, your plight, your struggle is valid. You only become a victim because I heard people talking about, plight supremacy and women being victims. You only become a victim if you stay one. And the strides and the steps that women are taking to liberate themselves from system of patriarchal tyranny are validated by the work itself. But the second thing that I'm seeing is that a lot of women, because they deep down inside desire the validation of men, are allowing men to come into the space now and be allies. But this term allies is really some type of accreditation that is coming from men in order to validate the work that we already have done and been doing and continue to do as women, that really, honestly, if we're honest, if men did approve of the work we did, how valid would it be? How effective could we really say we were being for the liberation of women if we did have men on board? But these men who are allies are grifting off of the experiences that women have. These men are in these spaces speaking for women on behalf of women as if they are women. Uh, I just don't fully understand how we as women who inherently understand what's at stake are putting our outcomes back in the hands of the same men that are responsible for why we're in the system in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, I love male allies. And the same as when there was a fight for Black liberation, and you had 60% of the Black Panthers that were women that were willing to get in those kitchens and cook, that had guns and berets too. They lend strength to the agenda of the movement without undermining it with their own female agendas. A lot of those women had to take a step back in order to allow men to push forward into these places, because the society, the Black nation that we were trying to build was supposed to have men as the architects of it. But this woman space that we're building, it's for us, by us, and male allies who are not championing women to be the spokespeople for their own liberation is suspect. You know, we have had lots of men in our female ranks creating trauma bonds and using narcissistic rhetoric to build platforms for themselves. They have used the strength of the voice of women to build and further their own agendas. And women, we have to become more savvy than that. And I will say that the women who support the men who are building platforms up out of the plight of women, those women are not allies either. Those women cannot be trusted to lean on for support when it comes to the liberation of all women. And the reason why the liberation of women is so particularly important is because the liberation of women is tied intrinsically to the liberation of children, of the elderly, of disabled persons. When women are nurtured, loved, taken care of, and protected and provided for, so are children and disabled and elderly populations. It's the weirdest thing to listen to men talk about the need for women to be traditional. And of course, we're just talking about their hair, their body count, um, their domesticated qualities. But traditional women care for children and parents, the disabled. The vast majority of our nurses, CNAs, hospice care workers are women. There's more at stake when it comes to supporting women than just for them to be at the behest of men. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say that the most insignificant role that a woman has in her life is to partner a man, because out of that partnership comes children, and then her role changes. The man still continues to protect and provide, to a deeper extent when children come into the picture, if the family's still intact. But women now go from being women, wives, mothers, Once the parents get older and they need to be cared for, the woman is expected to extend that care from children to the elderly as well. We see grandmothers taking care of grandchildren, where they've gone from being mothers to grandmothers now. We've seen those same women take care of adult men who may have disabilities. Women are the caretakers of the world. They're some of the strongest people on the face of the earth because the majority of people depend on them. We do not need to depend on men for our own voice and liberation. If they were going to fight for us, they would have done it by now. So I'm urging women to hold on to your voice, hold on to your feminist, feminine perspective and intuition when it comes to going into these male dominated spaces. These men are not creating a space for us. I mean, when it's their agendas, when it's their thoughts, we vote for these people in political office, we trust these men. But when it's us, there's all this mistrust, there's all this disdain for feminism. You know, I even said it one time. I brought up patriarchy and they attacked me like the devil came in the room. But all these men were just throwing around feminism. Feminism, feminism, feminism ruined the family. Feminism is the reason why all these women have all these problems. And these women agree with them. I was like, you're agreeing with them to your own detriment. If the answer was out here, it would have been found by now. But the answer is in us. And it's in us taking on our own autonomy to have our own communities, our own voices, our own safe spaces. The safe spaces for women become safe spaces for children, become safe spaces for the LGBTQIA plus community. Women are the gatekeepers of vulnerable populations. And for that reason, we have to resist. We have to revolutionize. We have to radicalize our opinion and view of what it is to be women. Listen, feminism has not gone as far as it could. There's Marxist feminism, radical feminism. And I was in a TikTok live where this man now, he was allying. You hear me? He said, if you are a feminist, but you still believe in capitalism, you're not a real feminist. And he was spitting because feminism takes on racism, it takes on capitalism, it takes on sexism, it takes on all of the isms that oppress everyone. That's what it is to have this voice as women. When we're given great power, we're also given a great responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
And I'm going to tell you something. Women have been in this space with great responsibility for a long time, but no power to back up all the responsibility that's already been placed on you. It's time for us to close ranks as women and demand a system that gives us the fair and equitable respect, dignity, and authority that we deserve. Listen, if you see what I see and you feel as I feel,
But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek,
go ahead and drop that fire headphones emoji in the comments. I look forward to engaging with you all there. I am coming to the end of season 3, and this channel, what I love about it is it has been an evolution of the wireless woman. And the wireless woman has not just been me. The wireless woman now, I'm seeing more and more every day, is us. And I feel like this channel is going to be going in a new direction, one that I'm really excited to take with you all. And my hope is that as we get women out of the matrix, as we get these women off the grid, we're going to be able to make a better, more perfect society. I said in my dating video, when women get more of what they want, men get more of what they want, and relationships become sustainable. Okay, we got tons of people that get married, but out of the 100% of people that get married, 50% or more get divorced. And it's because the relationship is not sustainable. And a large part of that sustenance is in the fulfillment of women. Women get married feeling like it's going to fulfill something in them that was incomplete as women. If we can come into these unions, if we can come into these relationships whole, complete, and fulfilled, everyone, men, children, all of the people that depend on women for their fulfillment will get so much more out of those relationships. So listen, let's talk about it in these comments. But until the next transmission, y'all already know the drill. You can go ahead and clock out for me.
What's the matter with you? You don't like women? Huh?
Yes, that's it.